big changes don't start big. They start small with a single habit. In this audiobook, you'll learn how to build better ones and let them quietly change your life. Introduction. A businessman and investor named Naval Ravikant once said, "To write a great book, you must first become the book." He meant that if you want to write something meaningful, you have to live it first. I didn't just study these ideas, I lived them. I used small habits to recover from an injury, get stronger, play better in sports, become a writer, start a business, and grow into a better person. These small habits helped me reach my potential. And if you picked up this book, you probably want to reach your potential too. In the next few pages, I'll show you a step-by-step way to build better habits, not just for a few weeks, but for your whole life. Even though this book is based on science, it's not a dry science book. It's a clear and useful guide. You'll find simple tips and smart ideas that help you understand habits and how to change them. I've pulled together old and new ideas from biology, brain science, philosophy, and psychology. I've taken the best lessons from the past and mixed them with the newest research. I've tried to explain everything in a way that's easy to use. If you find something helpful, thank the experts who came before me. If something doesn't work, that's on me. This book is built around my 4-step habit model: cue, craving, response, and reward. From that, I created the 4 laws of behavior change. If you've studied psychology, some of these ideas might sound familiar. In the 1930, a scientist named B.F. Skinner talked about stimulus, response, and reward. Later, the book The Power of Habit used the words cue, routine, and reward. These early models showed that rewards and punishments shape behavior, but they didn't explain how thoughts and feelings matter too. Our emotions play a big part in what we do. In recent years, scientists have started to understand that better. I'll talk about that here as well. My model includes both the outside world and what's going on inside your mind. I think it's one of the first models that clearly explains both. Some parts may sound familiar, but the way I explain and use them is new and practical. People change all the time, depending on where they are or how they feel. But this book focuses on what doesn't change, the basics of human behavior. These are solid ideas you can count on for years. Ideas you can use to improve your work, your health, your relationships, and your life. There's no one perfect way to build better habits, but this book offers the best method I know. It works for almost anyone, no matter your goals. Whether you care about fitness, money, school, or anything else, this system can help, as long as habits are part of it. Let's begin. The surprising power of atomic habits. The British cycling turnaround. In 2003, British cycling changed everything. They hired Dave Brailsford to improve performance. For nearly 100 years, British cyclists had been average. Since 1908, they won only 1 Olympic gold. No British rider had ever won the Tour de France in 110 years. Things were so bad, a bike company refused to sell them bikes. They didn't want their brand linked to failure. Brailsford brought a new idea: the aggregation of marginal gains, improving everything by 1%. If you improve every tiny part of cycling, the results can be huge. So, they started with small changes: better bike seats, rubbing alcohol on tires, heated shorts, body sensors, lighter racing suits. They didn't stop there. They tested massage gels, taught riders how to wash hands, found better pillows, painted trucks white to spot dust. Soon, it worked. In 2008, they won 60% of gold medals in Beijing. In 2012, they broke records in London. That same year, Bradley Wiggins won the Tour de France, a British first person. Chris Froome won it next year, and again, in 2015, 2016, and 2017. From 2007 to 2017, they won 178 World Championships, 66 Olympic golds, and 5 Tour de France titles. All from small, smart changes. Why small habits matter? Big success doesn't come from big moves. It comes from small changes made daily. Get 1% better each day, and you'll be 37 times better in a year. Get 1% worse, and everything falls apart. Small habits grow like interest on money. At first, you see nothing. Then one day, everything changes. But it's hard to see that in daily life. That's why we quit too soon. You go to the gym for a week, nothing changes. So you stop. You eat junk food once, no big deal. So you do it again. But small wins and small mistakes both grow over time. Your habits shape your future. It's like a plane leaving LA for New York. Tilted a tiny bit south, and you end up in Washington, D.C. Small changes shift your life over time. What you do daily matters more than what you do once. Success comes from your habits, not from a single moment. If you save a little money monthly, you're on the right path. If you spend more than you earn, you're heading for trouble. Your money shows your spending habits. Your body shows your eating habits. Your future shows your current choices. Ask yourself, am I saving more than I spend? Am I exercising? Am I learning daily? Time makes the gap wider. Good habits make time your friend. Bad ones make it your enemy. What progress really looks like. Picture an ice cube at 25 degrees. The room warms to 31 degrees. Still no melting. At 32 degrees, the ice starts to melt. Small changes build pressure. Then, boom, change happens. Cancer grows silently before it spreads. Bamboo grows roots for years before shooting up 90 feet. Habits are the same. Early efforts feel wasted. This is the valley of disappointment. You expect results, but change takes time. Most quit too early. You might say, I've worked out for a month. Why no results? But progress hides under the surface. It builds quietly until the breakthrough. That's the plateau of latent potential. If you're struggling, you're not failing. You just haven't hit 32 degrees yet. When it finally works, people say, that was fast. But you know the truth. It was slow, steady work all along. Change is like an earthquake. Pressure builds over time. Then, one shift shakes everything. Big things start small. Habits grow like roots, deep and unseen, until one day they blossom. Forget goals. Build systems. Most people chase goals. I did too. Grades, gym targets, money. Sometimes I hit them, sometimes I didn't. Then I realized goals don't matter as much as systems. Scott Adams, creator of Dilbert, says goals are results, systems are daily actions. Want to win a championship? That's a goal. Your system is how you train every day. Want to grow a business? Goal equals profit. System equals how you market, build, and manage daily. Focus on systems, not goals. Bill Walsh said, the score takes care of itself. Goals show where to go. Systems get you there. 4 problems with goal-first thinking. 1. Winners and losers often have the same goals. The goal didn't make British cyclists win. Their system did. 2. Goals give short-term results. Clean your room, it's clean today. But messy habits equals messy room tomorrow. 3. Goals delay happiness. You think, I'll be happy when I win. Why wait? Enjoy the process. 4. Goals stop progress. After a race, people stop training. A system keeps you going. Goals help you win once. Systems help you win again and again. A system of atomic habits. If you fail to change, it's not you, it's your system. Bad habits don't stick because you're lazy. They stick because your method isn't working. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your systems. Atomic means small and powerful. Atomic habits are tiny daily actions, easy to do, easy to build, powerful over time. Like atoms, they're small parts of something big. Do them daily. They stack up. They shape who you become. Each habit is like a vote for the person you want to be. Big success is built from tiny steps. These small wins are part of a system. They grow, they multiply, and one day they change everything. Now we'll see how habits shape identity. How your habits shape your identity, and vice versa. Why is it easy to fall into bad habits but hard to build good ones? Changing your habits can improve your life, but most people keep doing the same things. Even when you're motivated, good habits are tough to stick with. Activities like working out or journaling often feel annoying after a few days. Bad habits, though, stick around. Even when we want to quit junk food or smoking, it feels impossible. This happens for two reasons. 1. We try to change the wrong thing. 2. We try to change in the wrong way. This chapter focuses on the first mistake. Think of habit change like an onion with 3 layers. First layer, change your results. For example, lose weight. Second layer, change your habits. For example, go to the gym. Third layer, change your identity. For example, believe you're a healthy person. Most people start with goals, results, but the better approach is to focus on identity. Let's say 2 people are trying to quit smoking. One says, "I'm trying to quit." The other says, "I'm not a smoker." The second person believes they've changed. That shift in identity makes all the difference. You can make a plan or set goals, but if you still think of yourself the old way, your habits won't stick. Actions come from beliefs. If you see yourself as a spender, you'll spend. If you see yourself as lazy, you'll avoid exercise. Real change happens when you shift the beliefs behind the actions. Story of Brian Clark. He bit his nails for years. One day, he got a manicure. He liked how his nails looked and felt proud. That small change made him stop biting them. Why? Because he saw himself differently. He became someone who cared about clean nails. That's identity-based change. Habits that match your identity last longer. Want to read more? Become a reader. Want to run a marathon? Become a runner. Want to play music? Become a musician. When habits align with how you see yourself, they don't feel forced. But identity can also hold you back. I'm always late. I'm bad at math. I can't wake up early. These beliefs stick even if they're wrong and keep you from changing. To grow, you need to question and update your identity. The 2-step process to changing your identity. Your identity comes from your habits. You learn who you are by what you do. Make your bed every day. You're an organized person. Write daily. You're a writer. Train often. You're an athlete. The word identity comes from Latin meaning repeated being. You believe what you have proof for. Habits provide that proof. The author wasn't a strong writer at first, but writing twice a week for years helped him see himself as one. The habit changed his identity. One-time actions don't do this. Habits do, because they happen often. Each habit is a vote for the kind of person you want to be. You don't need to win every vote. Just win most of them. To build a new identity, 1. Decide who you want to be. 2. Prove it with small wins. Ask yourself, what kind of person gets the results I want? Want to lose weight? Be someone who eats well and exercises. Want to learn a language? Be someone who studies daily. Say, I want to be someone who writes, not just, I want to write a book. One woman lost 100 pounds by asking herself, what would a healthy person do? That question guided her habits until she became that healthy person. This is a feedback loop. Habits shape identity. Identity shapes habits. To make habits stick, focus on becoming the person you want to be, not just achieving the goal. Let's understand what are the 4 steps for better habits. How to build better habits. In 1898, a man named Edward Thorndike did an experiment. It helped us understand how habits form. He started with cats. He put each cat in a box called a puzzle box. To escape, the cat had to do something simple, like press a lever or pull a string. In one box, if the cat pressed a lever, the door would open. The cat could run out and eat. As soon as they were inside, the cats tried to escape. They sniffed around, scratched things, and pushed their paws through holes. After a while, one cat would accidentally press the lever. The door opened. The cat ran out to eat. Thorndike watched closely. He repeated the test many times. At first, the cats acted randomly. They didn't know what to do. But once they escaped, they started learning. With practice, they pressed the lever faster. After 20 to 30 tries, they could escape in just a few seconds. Cat 12 took 160 seconds at first. Later, the same cat escaped in 6 or 7 seconds. They stopped doing random things. They went straight to the lever. Their actions became quick and automatic. Thorndike explained it like this: when an action is followed by something good, we do it again. When an action brings something bad, we avoid it. This idea helps us understand how our habits form. Why your brain builds habits. A habit is something you do so often that it happens without thinking. At first, habits form by trial and error. When you face something new, your brain asks, what should I do now? You don't know yet. So you try different things. Like the cat in the box. Your brain works hard at first. You watch, learn, and test what works. Then, by chance, something feels good. You go for a run when nervous and feel calm. You play a game after school and feel better. Suddenly, boom, it feels good. Your brain remembers, that felt good. What did I do just before that? It saves the answer. You try. You fail. You learn. You try again. Bad attempts fade away. Helpful ones grow stronger. This is how a habit begins. When the same problem shows up, your brain remembers what worked. It doesn't think hard anymore. It just does it. Your brain says, when this happens, I know what to do. You feel stressed. Your body wants to run. You come home. Your hands reach for the controller. It feels automatic. These are shortcuts your brain has learned. They save time and energy. Why? Because your brain can only focus on one thing at a time. So it makes simple actions automatic. That way, your mind can focus on harder things. Habits make life smoother. Some people think, won't habits make life boring? They worry habits remove fun and freedom. But it's the opposite. Habits give you freedom. Without good habits, people feel stuck. Don't manage money? You stress over bills. Don't take care of health? You feel tired. Don't study well? You fall behind. If your brain is busy with small decisions, when should I work out? Where should I study? Did I pay that bill? Then there's no space left for big ideas. But when habits are strong, your mind is free. You can think, create, and dream. So, good habits now equals more freedom later. The science of how habits work. Every habit has 4 steps: cue, craving, response, and reward. When we break habits into steps, they're easier to understand and improve. Let's go step by step. 1. Cue. A cue is the trigger. It's what tells your brain, hey, something good might happen. Long ago, humans looked for food or safety cues. Now we look for rewards like money, love, or approval. Your brain watches for signs of rewards all the time. When it finds one, cue leads to craving. 2. Craving. Cravings make you want to act. Without craving, you won't care, but you're not craving the action itself. You crave the feeling it gives. You don't want a cigarette. You want calm. You don't want to brush your teeth. You want a clean mouth. You don't want to press the remote. You want to relax. Craving equals wanting to feel different inside. Everyone's cravings are different. A casino sound may trigger craving for one person, but not another. A cue is just a signal your brain gives it meaning. 3. Response. The response is your action. It can be a thought or a real move. You'll only respond if you want the reward. It's not too hard. You're able to do it. If it's too hard, you skip it. 4. Reward. Rewards are what you're really after. The cue makes you notice. The craving makes you want. The response makes you act. The reward makes it all worth it. Rewards have 2 jobs. 1. They satisfy you. 2. They teach your brain. Food, money, fitness, they all feel good. But mostly, rewards stop the craving. And they teach your brain, hey, that worked, do it again next time. This finishes the habit loop. If any part is missing, the habit fails. No cue, nothing starts. No craving, no action. Too hard? You won't do it. No reward? You won't do it again. All 4 steps matter. The habit loop. Here's the habit loop. In short, something happens to you, want something to you, do something to you, get something. This loop happens all the time. Even now, your brain is always guessing, trying, learning, super fast. You don't even notice. We can split this into 2 parts. Problem part 2, you see something, you want to change it. Solution part 2, you act. Get a result. Most habits become invisible as you grow older. You just do them. Tie your shoes, turn off lights, change clothes after work. You don't even think. The 4 laws of behavior change. Now that you know the 4 habit steps: cue, craving, response, reward, let's turn them into a simple plan. I call this the 4 laws of behavior change. It's a tool to build good habits and break bad ones. Use them right, habits feel easy. Use them wrong, habits feel hard. How to build a good habit. 1. Cue to make it obvious. 2. Craving to make it attractive. 3. Response to make it easy. 4. Reward to make it satisfying. How to break a bad habit. 1. Cue to make it invisible. 2. Craving to make it unattractive. 3. Response to make it hard. 4. Reward to make it unsatisfying. These 4 laws may not solve every problem, but they work almost everywhere. In sports, business, health, even relationships. No need for new plans for every habit. Just ask. 1. How can I make it obvious? 2. How can I make it tempting? 3. How can I make it easy? 4. How can I make it satisfying? If you've ever asked, why can't I stick to what I plan? Why can't I quit smoking or save money? The answer is inside these 4 laws. To change your habits, You need to work with human nature, not against it. In the next chapters, we'll go deeper into each law. You'll learn how to build a system that lets good habits grow and bad ones fade. Key takeaways. 1. Small habits compound over time. Tiny daily improvements may seem meaningless at first, but they lead to big results if you're consistent and patient. 2. Habits can help or hurt you. They're powerful tools, so understanding how they work is key to using them wisely. 3. Goals don't shape your future, systems do. Lasting change comes not from aiming higher, but from building better daily routines. 4. True habit change starts with identity. Don't just focus on goals or actions. Focus on becoming the kind of person you want to be. 5. Each habit is a vote for your future self. Your actions shape your identity over time. 6. Habits reshape your beliefs. The real power of habits lies in how they transform how you see yourself. 7. Habits are automatic actions. They form through repetition and help us handle life efficiently with minimal effort. 8. All habits follow a loop. Cue, craving, response, and reward drive every behavior. 9. To build better habits, follow 4 simple rules. Make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. Law 1. Make it obvious. Chapter 1. Build better habits, but first, be aware. A psychologist named Gary Klein once told a story about a woman at a family event. She had worked as a paramedic for many years. When she saw her father-in-law, she felt something was wrong. "I don't like how you look," she said. He joked back, "Well, I don't like how you look either." But she wasn't joking. She told him, "You need to go to the hospital right now." A few hours later, he had emergency surgery. Doctors found a major blockage in his heart. He was close to a heart attack. If she hadn't noticed, he might not have made it. So, what did she see? How did she know? When a major artery gets blocked, blood moves away from the skin and toward the organs. That small change makes the face look a bit different. Because she had seen so many patients like this, her brain had learned to spot the signs. She couldn't explain it, but she just knew something was off. This happens in other jobs too. Military experts can tell the difference between enemy missiles and friendly planes, even if they look almost the same. In the Gulf War, a Navy officer named Michael Riley saved a ship by shooting down a missile. It looked like one of their own planes, but he somehow knew it wasn't. No one could explain how he knew. Art experts can sometimes tell if a painting is fake, even if they can't say why. Doctors looking at brain scans might sense a stroke is coming before any clear signs appear. Some hairdressers have even guessed someone was pregnant just from how their hair felt. Our brains are great at picking up patterns. When you see something over and over like a paramedic or soldier does, your brain remembers what matters. With practice, you start noticing little signs without thinking. Your brain stores all that experience. Even when you're not aware of it, you're learning. That's how habits begin. We don't realize how much our bodies do on their own. You don't think about growing hair or digesting food. Your body just does it. You're more than your thoughts. Think about hunger. You don't always need to see food to feel it. Your body has ways to tell you when it needs something. Hormones and signals make you feel hungry, sometimes for no clear reason. That's what's so interesting about habits. You don't have to know what triggers them. They can start without you realizing. That's what makes habits powerful, but also tricky. You act without thinking. You might always cover your mouth when laughing, or say sorry before asking for help. You don't even notice anymore. One store worker once helped a few customers who paid with gift cards. Then, someone paid with a real credit card, and she cut it in half without thinking. She only realized after she saw the shocked customer's face. There was also a woman who used to teach preschool. After switching to an office job, she kept reminding coworkers to wash their hands after using the bathroom. A man who worked as a lifeguard would still yell, "Walk," whenever he saw kids running, even if he wasn't at a pool. Eventually, the things around us start triggering habits without us noticing. Snacks on the counter, the remote on the couch, the phone in your pocket. These little things pull you in before you know it. That's why changing habits starts with noticing them. Before we can build new habits, we need to understand the ones we already have. But that's not easy. Habits run in the background. We don't think about them. As Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." The Habit Scorecard. Japan's train system is one of the best in the world. If you ride a train in Tokyo, you'll see something interesting. Train conductors point at things and say them out loud. When they pass a signal, they say, "Signal is green." When the train moves, they call out the speed. When it's time to go, they say the time out loud. Even workers on the platform do this. Before the train leaves, they point along the platform and say, "All clear." This is called pointing and calling. It helps people make fewer mistakes. It might look strange, but it really works. It can cut mistakes by 85% and accidents by 30%. New York subways used a simpler version, which is just pointing, and saw a 57% drop in trains stopping at the wrong place. It works because it forces people to pay attention. When you use your eyes, voice, hands, and ears, you notice more. My wife does something like this too. Before a trip, she lists what she packed. I've got my keys, I've got my wallet, I've got my glasses, I've got my husband. The more we do something, the more automatic it becomes. We stop thinking and just go through the motions. But that's when we make mistakes. When we assume everything will be fine, we miss things. Changing habits is hard because we stop paying attention. That's also how bad habits sneak in. We need our own version of pointing and calling. That's why the author created the Habit Scorecard. It helps you become more aware of what you do each day. Just write down everything you usually do in a day. It might look like this: wake up, turn off alarm, check phone, go to the bathroom, weigh myself, take a shower, brush teeth, floss, put on deodorant, hang towel, get dressed, and make tea. Next, look at each habit and decide, is it good, bad, or just okay? Mark it with a plus, minus, or equal sign. For example, wake up equals turn off alarm equals check phone, weigh myself plus shower plus brush teeth plus floss plus put on deodorant plus hang towel equals get dressed equals make tea plus. What counts as good or bad depends on your goals. Eating a bagel might be bad if you're trying to lose weight, but good if you're trying to gain muscle. There's no perfect or terrible habit. Habits just solve problems. Even bad habits do something for us. That's why they stick. So look at how each one helps or hurts you over time. Good habits help you become who you want to be. Bad ones move you away from that. When you score your habits, don't judge yourself. Don't feel bad or proud. Just notice. If you eat a chocolate bar every morning, just observe it, like you're watching someone else. Interesting. If you binge eat, just notice. If you scroll online too long, just notice. The first step to change is awareness. You can even try pointing and calling on yourself. If you reach for junk food, say, "I'm about to eat this cookie. I don't need it. It'll hurt my health." Speaking it out loud helps you see your actions more clearly. Even with small tasks, it works. Saying, "Tomorrow, I'll go to the post office after lunch," makes it more likely to happen. You're telling yourself it matters, and that small step can make a big difference. To change a habit, you have to notice it first. The habit scorecard and pointing and calling are tools to help you see what's really happening so you can make better choices. Now let's see how to build better habits. The best way to start a new habit. In 2001, researchers in Britain worked with 248 people to help them build exercise habits over 2 weeks. They split them into 3 groups. The first group was told to track how often they exercised. The second group also tracked their workouts, but they also read about how exercise is good for the heart. The third group did both of those things, but they also had to write down a plan. During the next week, I will do at least 20 minutes of hard exercise on day, at time, in place. In the first 2 groups, only about 35 to 38 out of 100 people exercised. But in the third group, 91 out of 100 exercised. That's more than twice as many. The plan they wrote is called an implementation intention. It's a way to plan exactly when and where you'll do something. Habits can be triggered by lots of things, like a sound, a smell, or something you see. But the most common triggers are time and place. Implementation intentions use both. It works like this. When situation X happens, I will do Y. Studies show this helps people reach their goals more often. Whether it's going to the doctor, recycling more, or quitting smoking, it helps when you have a clear plan. Even voting goes up when people are asked simple questions like, what time will you vote? How will you get there? The point is simple. If you plan exactly when and where a habit will happen, you're more likely to follow through. Most people say things like, I'll start eating better, or I should write more. But they never say when or where, so they just hope it happens. But implementation intentions turn those vague hopes into clear steps. Lots of people think they need more motivation, but what they really need is clarity. Sometimes it's hard to know the right time to start. Some people wait forever for that perfect moment. But once you set a plan, you don't have to wait for motivation. You don't need to decide. Just do what you planned. Here's a simple formula. I will behavior at time and location. Like this. I will meditate for 1 minute at 7 a.m. in my kitchen. I will study Spanish at 6 p.m. in my bedroom. I will exercise at 5 p.m. in my local gym. If you're unsure when to start, try the beginning of a week, month, or year. These fresh starts make us feel ready for change. Another benefit of planning ahead, it helps you say no to distractions. When your plan is clear, it's easier to stay focused. If you don't know what you should be doing, it's easy to say yes to anything. That's how time slips away. So give your habits a clear time and place. When you do it often enough, your body starts to expect it, even if you're not thinking about it. Like the writer Jason Zweig said, you won't work out without thinking about it, but you might feel restless around workout time, like a dog that hears a bell and knows it's dinner. There are lots of ways to use implementation intentions. My favorite is something called habit stacking, a method from Stanford professor B.J. Fogg. Habit stacking, a simple plan to overhaul your habits. The key to habit stacking is picking the right starting point. Unlike implementation intentions that use a set time and place, habit stacking connects your new habit to something you already do. The moment you choose really matters. If your mornings are loud and busy, it might not be the best time to start something like meditation. You also want to stack your new habit on something that happens just as often. If you want to do something daily, don't attach it to a weekly event. One way to find the right cue is to list out what you already do each day. Use your habit scorecard or make a simple 2-column list. In the first column, list what you do daily. Wake up, brush teeth, take a shower, make coffee. Eat breakfast. In the second column, list what happens to you daily. Sun rises. You get a text. A song ends. Sun sets. Now look through your list and find the best place to insert your new habit. Your cue should be clear and easy to act on. A lot of people mess up by choosing vague cues. I did this too. I said, when I take a lunch break, I'll do 10 push-ups. But that wasn't clear enough. Before lunch? After? Where? So I changed it to, when I close my laptop for lunch, I'll do 10 push-ups next to my desk. That version worked. Goals like read more or eat better don't say what to do or when. You need something exact, like after I close the door, after I brush my teeth, after I sit down to eat. Specific is better. The more clear your cue, the easier it is to follow through. The first law of behavior change is make it obvious. Both implementation intentions and habit stacking are great ways to do that. They help you build a strong plan and actually stick with your new habits. There is one more important thing left, which controls our habits: the environment. Let's understand. Chapter 2. Forget motivation, shape your environment instead. Anne Thorndike, a doctor in Boston, had a simple idea: help hospital workers eat healthier without telling them what to do or pushing them to try harder. She ran a 6-month study in the hospital cafeteria. First, they changed where drinks were placed. Before, only soda was near the checkout, so they added bottled water next to it. They also put baskets of water around the room. Soda was still there, just not as easy to reach. 3 months later, soda sales dropped by 11%. Water sales jumped by 25%. They did the same with food and got the same kind of results. No speeches, no rules, just a better setup. Often, we don't choose things because we want them. We pick what's in front of us. If I see cookies on the counter, I might eat them even if I'm not hungry. If donuts are always at work, I'll probably grab one. Your surroundings quietly shape what you do. People often act the same way in the same places. In church, they're quiet. On a dark street, they're alert. It shows that our behavior changes more from what's around us than from what's inside us. Habits live inside situations. Back in 1952, a man named Hawkins Stern talked about impulse buying. It happens when someone sees something and suddenly wants it, even if they didn't plan to. That's why stores place expensive brands at eye level and cheaper ones on the bottom shelf. The ends of aisles, called end caps, are even better. Almost half of Coca-Cola's sales come from these spots alone. The more you see something, the more likely you are to want it. People drink Bud Light because it's in every bar. People visit Starbucks because it's everywhere. We think we're making choices, but often we're just choosing the most obvious thing. All living things sense the world in their own way. Eagles use sharp eyes. Snakes use their tongue. Sharks feel tiny vibrations. Even bacteria can detect chemicals. Humans rely mostly on sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell, but we also pick up on other things, like cool air before a storm, or when we feel dizzy or thirsty. But vision is by far the strongest. Out of 11 million signals our body handles, 10 million are for sight. That's why what we see can really shape how we act. If we want to build better habits, we need to shape what's around us. How to design your environment for success. In the 1972nd, there was an energy crisis. Researchers near Amsterdam noticed something strange. Some homes used 30% less energy than others. But the homes were the same size, and they all paid the same. The difference? In some homes, the electric meter was in the hallway. In others, it was in the basement. When people could see their energy use easily, they used less. Habits start with a cue, and we notice cues that stand out. Sadly, our homes and workspaces often hide good cues. If your guitar's in a closet, you won't play it. If your books are tucked away, you won't read. If your vitamins are hidden in the pantry, you'll forget them. When you don't see the reminder, the habit slips away. I've seen this myself. I'd buy apples and toss them in the fridge drawer. Then, forget about them. They'd rot. Then I changed one thing. I got a big fruit bowl and put it on the counter. I filled it with apples. And guess what? I started eating one every day, just because I saw them. Here's how you can make good habits more visible. Want to take medicine at night? Keep it by the sink. Want to play guitar? Put it in the middle of your room. Want to send thank you notes? Keep cards on your desk. Want to drink more water? Leave bottles around the house. If you want a habit to stick, make the cue part of your space. Strong habits usually come with lots of reminders. Smokers, for example, get triggered by a car ride, a friend lighting up, or stress at work. All of these cues pull them toward the same habit. You can use this trick for good habits too. Fill your space with helpful reminders. Make the best choice the easiest one to see. When the right option is right in front of you, making good choices becomes automatic. And the best part? Most people never think to change their environment, but you can. You can shape your room, your home, your workspace, so they help you, not trip you up. That's how you take charge and become the designer of your life. The context is the cue. Most habits begin with a single trigger, but over time, your brain connects the habit with the whole setting. Take drinking, for example. People often drink more in social settings. It's not just one cue, it's everything. Music, friends, beer taps, the entire scene becomes the signal. We link certain places with certain actions. Office equals work. Kitchen equals eating. Bed equals sleeping. We also link things with habits. Like a couch, one person might read on it. Another snacks and watches television. Same object, different habit. The key is this: you can train yourself to connect a habit with a place. One study showed that people with sleep issues slept better when they used their beds only for sleep. If they couldn't sleep, they were told to leave the room. No phones, no tossing, just sleep. Over time, their brain got the message. This is the power of context. And here's a great tip. If you want to start a new habit, try doing it in a new space. Why? Because your usual places are full of old triggers. New place equals fresh start. Want a new routine? Try a new cafe, a quiet corner, or even a different chair at home. Want to sleep earlier? Don't watch television in bed. Want to study better? Don't study where you play games. Changing your surroundings makes it easier to let go of old habits and start new ones. Trying to be more creative? Try working somewhere with lots of light and space. Trying to eat better? Go to a different grocery store. You won't know where the junk food is yet, and that helps. Can't change your space? Redefine it. Create zones. One chair equals reading. One desk equals working. One table equals meals. You can even assign roles to devices. Laptop equals writing. Tablet equals reading. Phone equals texting and social media. That way, each habit has a home. I used to work on my kitchen table or couch, but then I couldn't stop working, even in the evenings. My brain didn't know when to stop. Then I got a separate office space. That small change made a huge difference. Work happened there. Rest happened somewhere else. It felt clear. It felt right. Here's the lesson. Don't mix settings. If you do, your habits get mixed too. And the easier habit usually wins. Phones are tricky because they do everything. That's why it's hard to focus on work. They're filled with games, messages, and videos. You might think, but I live in a small place. That's okay. Just make zones. This chair equals reading. This spot equals writing. This corner equals meals. Once your brain links this place equals this habit, things get easier. You'll focus more at your desk. Relax better in your chill spot. Sleep better in a bed used only for sleep. In short, one space, one use. Every habit needs a home. Stable places lead to stable habits. So far, we've seen how to build habits using first law by making the cue obvious. Let's see how to break bad habits using the reversal of this law. Make it invisible. The secret to self-control. In 1971, during the Vietnam War, 2 American officials visited soldiers and found something shocking. Over 15% were addicted to heroin. Later, studies showed that 35% had tried it and 20% were fully addicted. The problem was bigger than anyone thought. Back in the US, the government took action. President Nixon created a new office to fight drug use and help soldiers recover. A researcher named Lee Robbins led part of the study. What she found was surprising. When soldiers returned home, only 5% got addicted again in the first year. After 3 years, only 12% had used heroin again. That means about 90% quit almost immediately. At the time, people believed heroin addiction was permanent, but Robbins showed that changing the environment could break the habit. In Vietnam, heroin was easy to get, soldiers were stressed, and everyone around them was using. But back home, those triggers were gone, so the habit faded. Now think about a regular drug user. They often get hooked at home or with friends. Then they go to rehab, where the space is clean and safe. But when they leave and return to their old life, full of the same triggers, they often relapse. That's why 90% of people who leave rehab end up using again. The Vietnam story didn't fit what people believed about addiction or bad habits. Most thought that if you smoked, were overweight, or used drugs, it meant you lacked willpower. They believed being stronger or trying harder was the solution. But studies now show something else. People with strong self-control don't actually have more willpower. They just don't face as many temptations. They design their lives to avoid them. The best self-control isn't about being strong all the time. It's about making things easier on yourself by changing what's around you. So yes, willpower matters, but what matters more is setting up your space to make good choices easy. It may sound surprising, but it makes sense when you know how habits work in the brain. Once a habit forms, the brain stores it and brings it back when you're in a similar situation. Take Patty Olwell. She used to smoke while riding horses with a friend. She quit smoking and didn't ride for years. But one day, she rode again and suddenly craved a cigarette. The habit never left her brain. It was just waiting to be triggered. Once a habit is stored, the urge can come back just by being in the same situation. That's why some efforts to change behavior don't work. If you shame someone for being overweight, they may get stressed and eat more. If you scare smokers with images of sick lungs, they might feel anxious and smoke again. Without changing the trigger, the habit stays. Bad habits feed themselves. You feel sad, so you eat junk food. Then you feel worse. You watch too much television, feel lazy, and keep watching. You worry about your health, get anxious, and smoke, which worsens your health, making you worry even more. It's a loop. Scientists call this cue-induced wanting. That means something, like a sound, picture, or smell, can spark a craving, even if you don't notice it. In one study, scientists flashed a picture of cocaine for just 33 milliseconds. So fast, people didn't even realize they saw it. Still, their brains reacted and they started craving the drug. Here's the key. You can stop a habit, but it's hard to erase it. Even if you don't do it for years, your brain still remembers it. That's why just relying on willpower doesn't always work. You can resist a few times, but not forever. Sooner or later, your surroundings win. If you're surrounded by triggers, good behavior becomes really hard. The better approach is to remove the triggers themselves. If you can't focus, leave your phone in another room. If social media makes you feel bad, unfollow certain accounts. If you watch too much television, take it out of your bedroom. If you spend too much money, stop reading tech blogs. If you game too much, unplug the system when you're done. This is the opposite of the first law of behavior change. Instead of making good habits obvious, you're making bad ones invisible. Even a small change in your space can make a big difference. Remove one trigger, and the whole habit may fade. Willpower works only for a short time. A smarter move? Change your environment. That's the real secret to self-control. Make the good habits easy to see, and the bad ones hard to reach. Law 1 Overview. 1. Awareness is the first step to change. You can't improve a habit you're not aware of. 2. Habits run on autopilot. Once formed, they happen without much thought, which is why noticing them is key. 3. Tools like pointing and calling and the habit scorecard help bring unconscious habits into conscious view. 4. To change a habit, make the cue obvious. Time and location are the most effective triggers. 5. Use implementation intentions. Plan your habit with, I will behavior at time in location. 6. Use habit stacking. Link a new habit to an existing one with, after current habit, I will new habit. 7. Your environment shapes your habits. Small changes in context can lead to big behavior shifts over time. 8. Make cues stand out. Clear, visible triggers make good habits easier to start. 9. Context becomes the cue. Over time, your surroundings themselves can trigger habits, so a fresh environment can help you build new ones faster. 10. To break a bad habit, make the cue invisible. Reduce your exposure to what triggers it. 11. Avoiding temptation is smarter than fighting it. People with strong self-control simply stay away from triggers. 12. Self-control doesn't last forever. Lasting change comes from changing your environment, not relying on willpower. Law 2. Make it attractive. Chapter 3. How to make a habit irresistible. In the 1940, a scientist named Nico Tinbergen studied birds called herring gulls. He noticed that baby gulls peck at a red dot on their mom's beak when they're hungry. So he made fake bird heads with red dots. Even though they weren't real, the chicks still pecked at them. They were drawn to the red dot like it was built into their brain. Then he made beaks with even bigger red dots. The chicks pecked even more. Add 3 big dots? They went wild. It was like the fake beaks were better than real ones. Other animals did the same thing. One goose tried to pull a volleyball into her nest, thinking it was her egg, just because it was big and round. These animals were reacting to what scientists call supernormal stimuli, things that are extra intense and trigger big responses. Humans react to these triggers too. Take junk food. Our brains love salty, sugary, and fatty foods because they used to be hard to find. Now they're everywhere, but our brains still crave them like we're in survival mode. Food companies know this. They design snacks to be crunchy, creamy, fizzy, just right for your brain. This feeling is called orosensation. They also mix textures to keep your brain hooked, like crispy fries with soft centers or gooey cheese on crunchy pizza. Natural foods, like kale, taste the same with every bite. Processed foods are designed to surprise your brain again and again. That's how they find the bliss point, the perfect mix of sugar, salt, and fat that makes you want more. So we overeat, Not because we need to, but because food is made to be irresistible. This is part of the second law of behavior change. Make it attractive. The more something pulls you in, the more likely it becomes a habit. And this doesn't stop at food. Models and ads don't look like real people. Social media gives you more likes than you'd get in real life. It's all designed to grab your attention. These are modern, supernormal stimuli. So we shop too much, scroll too much, eat too much, and it's only going to get worse. Stronger snacks, better filters, more exciting games. Our brains haven't changed, but the temptations around us have. To build good habits, we have to make them attractive. That's what this chapter is about, how to build habits your brain actually wants. Let's start with cravings and the role of dopamine. The dopamine-driven feedback loop. Scientists can tell when you're craving something by looking at dopamine in your brain. In 1954, researchers blocked dopamine in rats. The rats lost interest in everything. They didn't eat or drink, and they died. Later, they gave sugar to rats with blocked dopamine. The rats liked the taste, but didn't want more. Pleasure was there, but desire was gone. Then they tried the opposite, gave rats extra dopamine. The rats repeated actions like crazy. One poked its nose into a box 800 times an hour just to get a dopamine hit. Habits, good or bad, are closely tied to dopamine. Junk food, social media, drugs, even talking to people all increase it. At first, people thought dopamine was just about pleasure, but now we know it helps with learning, motivation, and action too. Here's the key. Dopamine doesn't only show up when something feels good. It also spikes when you expect something good. Gamblers feel the high before placing a bet, not after. Addicts get excited when they see the drug, not when they use it. The brain reacts more to the promise of a reward than to the reward itself. Sometimes, just thinking about something fun feels better than actually doing it, like waiting for Christmas or planning a vacation. Scientists call this the difference between wanting and liking. Your brain is built to want things more than to like them. The parts of the brain that handle wanting are huge. The parts that handle liking, tiny. That's why desire is such a powerful force. It pushes us to act. Every habit starts with wanting something. That's why the second law is so powerful. Make it attractive. And that's where temptation bundling comes in. How to use temptation bundling to make habits more attractive. Ronan Byrne, a student in Ireland, liked Netflix but wanted to exercise. So he built a system that only let Netflix play if he was pedaling fast enough on his bike. If he slowed down, the show stopped. He linked something he wanted, Netflix, to something he needed, exercise. That's temptation bundling. Companies do it too. ABC promoted its Thursday shows alongside popcorn and wine, turning television night into something people looked forward to. You can do the same. Maybe only read gossip magazines while on the treadmill, or only check Facebook after your workout. It's based on Premack's principle. If you pair something fun with something necessary, the fun part helps pull you through. You can even mix this with habit stacking. 1. After your current habit, do something you need to do. 2. Then do something you want to do. Like, after drinking coffee, say one thing you're grateful for. Then read the news. Or, after picking up your phone, do 10 burpees. Then check Instagram. You'll start to look forward to the healthy habit because it leads to something fun. This chapter showed how rewards drive our attention. Temptation bundling helps you use that pull to build better habits. Let's understand the role of social surroundings in forming habits. The role of family and friends in shaping your habits. In 1965, a man named Laszlo Polgar from Hungary started writing letters to a woman named Clara. Laszlo believed people weren't born with talent. They got good through training and habits. He often said, "A genius is not born, but is educated and trained." He believed this so strongly that he wanted to test it with his own kids. So he wrote to Clara, looking for a wife who would agree. Clara was a teacher, and while she wasn't as passionate as Laszlo, she did believe in the power of good teaching. Laszlo chose chess as the way to prove his point. His kids wouldn't go to regular school. They'd be homeschooled, rare in Hungary then, and surrounded by chess books, photos of top players, and non-stop games. They even tracked every opponent in detail. Everything in their life was about chess. Laszlo and Clara got married and had 3 daughters, Susan, Sophia, and Judith. Susan, the oldest, started chess at 4. Within 6 months, she was beating adults. Sophia, the middle child, did even better. She became a world champion at 14 and later a grandmaster. Judith, the youngest, was the best of all. By 5, she could beat her dad. At 12, she was ranked among the top 100 players in the world. At 15, she became the youngest grandmaster ever, beating Bobby Fischer's record. She stayed the top female player for 27 years. Their life was very different from most kids, but they say it was fun. They genuinely loved chess. One night, their dad found Sophia playing chess in the bathroom. When he told her to stop, she said, "Daddy, they won't leave me alone." In their home, chess wasn't strange, it was normal. And what feels normal in your world becomes the thing you want to do. The seductive pull of social norms. We all want to fit in, make friends, and feel liked. It's natural. It helps us survive. Long ago, people lived in tribes. Getting left out could mean danger, but sticking together made it easier to stay safe, find food, and find a partner. Darwin said, "The people who learned to work together were the ones who did best." That old feeling, the need to belong, is still inside us. When we're kids, we don't choose habits, we copy them. We follow what our parents, friends, and teachers do. Each group we're part of, family, school, religion, has its own rules. These rules guide our behavior, even when we don't notice. Often, we do things just because it's what everyone else does. As Michel de Montaigne said, society carries us along without us realizing it. And usually, we're okay with that. If your family praises you for playing chess, you'll play more. If your coworkers wear suits, you'll want one. If your friends say a funny phrase, you'll probably say it too. We like habits that help us fit in. We mostly copy 3 types of people. 1. The close. 2. The many. 3. The powerful. All 3 can help us make habits more attractive, which is the second law of behavior change. 1. Copying people close to us. The people around us shape our habits. It's not just where we live, it's who we spend time with. We learn by watching how our parents argue, how our friends flirt, how our coworkers focus. If your friends smoke, you might try it. If your spouse locks the door before bed, you might start too. I've seen this in myself. I copy people's body language. In college, I picked up how my roommates talked. Even when I travel, I sometimes mimic the local accent without meaning to. The closer we are to someone, the more we mirror their habits. One study followed 12,000 people for 32 years. If your friend becomes overweight, your chances go up 57%. But if your partner loses weight, there's a 1 in 3 chance you'll lose weight too. Friends and family pull us in their direction, good or bad. For example, astronaut Mike Massimino took a robotics class at MIT. Out of 10 students, 4 became astronauts. That's a good group to be in. Another study found that if your best friend had a higher IQ at age 11, yours was likely higher by age 15, even after adjusting for your own intelligence. We absorb traits from those we're around. So, one of the best ways to build good habits is to join a group where your goal is normal. If you hang out with people who work out, you'll feel like exercise is just what people do. If your friends love jazz, it'll feel natural to play jazz. Your surroundings shape what feels normal. To go further, join a group where 1. Your desired habit is common, and 2. You already share something with them. Steve Kamb runs a business called Nerd Fitness. It helps people like gamers, misfits, and movie lovers get healthy. His clients feel more comfortable because they're with people like them. Being in a group turns "I'm a runner" into "we are runners." It makes the goal feel shared. That shared identity helps your habits stick long after the goal is reached. Copying the many. In the 1952nd, psychologist Solomon Asch did some famous studies. He had one real person walk into a room full of actors, pretending to be test subjects. They were shown a card with 1 line, then a second card with 3 lines. They had to say which line matched the first one. At first, everyone agreed on the obvious answers, but then the actors started giving wrong answers on purpose. The real person would look around, confused. Many started doubting themselves, and in the end, most gave the wrong answer too, just to fit in. Asch repeated this test in many ways. The more actors there were, the more likely the real person copied them. With 8 actors, 75% of people went along with the wrong answer. When we're unsure, we look to others. That's why we check Amazon reviews. We trust the crowd. Usually, following the group works, but not always. One chimp learned a great way to crack nuts, but when it joined a group that used a worse method, it switched just to fit in. Humans are the same. Being accepted feels better than being right. We'd rather agree with the group than stand out, even when we know the truth. It's hard to go against the group, but when your new habit makes you fit in better, it feels natural and fun. Copying the powerful. We all want respect, status, and recognition. That's why we chase titles, awards, and praise. In the past, those things meant better survival chances. We like habits that make others admire us. We want to be the best at something, at the gym, at work, at home. We want to stand out. Once we fit in, we try to rise up. That's why we copy successful people. You might use tips from a top brand, cook like your favorite chief, or speak like your boss. We even copy people we're jealous of. People with status get more praise and attention. So if a habit brings respect, we want to keep doing it. At the same time, we avoid things that hurt our image. We cut the grass, clean the house before visitors, and constantly think, what will they think of me? The Polgar sisters became chess masters, partly because their world praised chess. They were rewarded for doing well. That support made it easier to keep going. Social influence is powerful. The right environment doesn't just shape your habits, it keeps them alive. So far, we've seen how to build better habits using second law by making cravings attractive. Let's see the reversal of it, which is make it unattractive to break bad habits. Chapter 4. Not just the habit. Fix what's causing it. Back in 2012, I was staying in a small old apartment near Istiklal Street in Istanbul. It was a short trip, just 4 days. My guide, Mike, was sitting nearby in a worn-out chair. Mike wasn't a real tour guide. He was a guy from Maine who'd been living in Turkey for 5 years. He offered to show me around, and I said sure. That night, I had dinner with him and some of his Turkish friends. There were 7 of us, and I was the only one who hadn't smoked a pack of cigarettes a day at some point. I asked one guy how he started. He said, friends. It always starts with friends. One smokes, then you try it. But here's the surprising part. Half of them had quit smoking. Mike had quit too, thanks to a book called Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Smoking. It takes the weight off your mind, he told me. The book says, stop lying to yourself. You don't even enjoy smoking. It helps you realize you're not a victim, you don't need it. I'd never smoked, but I was curious and checked out the book. The author helps people shift how they think about smoking. He redefines what cravings mean. He says stuff like, you're not giving up anything. Cigarettes don't give you anything. You don't need to smoke to be social. You can connect without it. Smoking doesn't ease stress. It damages your nerves. He repeats this over and over. You're not losing. You're gaining health, energy, money, freedom, confidence, and a better life. By the end, smoking seems pointless. Once you stop believing it helps you, you stop wanting it. That's flipping the second law of behavior change. You make the habit unattractive. I know, it sounds too easy. Just think differently and you'll quit, but stay with me. Where cravings come from? Every habit has two layers, what we think we want and the real reason underneath. I might say I want tacos, but deep down, my body just wants food to survive. The taco is the surface. Survival is the root. We all have basic needs. Saving energy, finding food and water, feeling loved, connecting with people, being accepted, avoiding confusion, gaining respect. So, when you feel a craving, it's tied to one of these deep needs. You're not born craving cigarettes or Instagram. Your brain just wants to feel better, be liked, or feel safe. Look at any habit, it usually links to a deeper human need. Love, Tinder. Connection, Facebook. Acceptance, Instagram. Answers, Google. Importance, video games. Your habits are modern ways to meet ancient needs. The needs stay the same, the tools change. Here's the key. Cravings can be handled in more than one way. One person smokes to relax. Another goes for a walk. The habit you use now isn't the only option. It's just what you've learned. Once your brain links a habit to a solution, it keeps choosing it. Habits are built through connections. Your brain sees cues and makes predictions about what to do next. Cue: the stove is hot. Prediction: don't touch it, you'll get burned. Cue: light turns green. Prediction: press the gas, you'll move forward. We think we're reacting, but really, we're predicting. Our brain guesses what should happen and acts on that. So habits don't come from the cue itself. They come from how we see the cue. One person sees a cigarette and wants it. Another sees it and feels grossed out. Same cue, different brain prediction. And those predictions create feelings. That's what cravings are. Feelings that come from how your brain sees things. Cravings are your brain saying, I want to feel better. For example, you always sense temperature, but when it gets too cold, you feel cold and then you act. The cue was there all along, but the feeling is what makes you do something. Cravings are signals that something feels off. There's a gap between how you feel now and how you want to feel. That gap pushes you to act. Even small actions start with the desire to feel different. Binge eating, smoking, scrolling, all are about feeling better. Feelings guide us. They tell us what's good or bad, when to act or stay still. Studies show people who can't feel emotions struggle to make choices. They don't know what matters. As neuroscientist Antonio Damasio says, emotions help us know what's good or bad. So to sum up, cravings and habits are your brain's way of meeting deep needs. If a habit helps, you repeat it. Soon, your brain learns that social media eagers feeling loved. YouTube eikers escaping stress. When a habit feels good, you want to do it again. That's the trick, and you can use it to build better habits too. How to reprogram your brain to enjoy hard habits. You can make hard habits easier by linking them to something positive. Sometimes, just changing how you think about them helps. Take this one small shift. Instead of saying I have to, say I get to. I get to wake up early for work. I get to make another call. I get to cook dinner. Just one word change makes you feel grateful instead of annoyed. It turns chores into chances. There's a story of a man in a wheelchair. Someone asked if it was hard. He said, "I'm not stuck. I'm free. Without it, I'd be stuck in bed." Just changing how he saw it changed everything. Here are a few habit flips. Exercise. Instead of I have to run, try I'm building strength and energy. Money. Instead of I'm missing out, think I'm buying freedom later. Meditation. Can't sit still? See distractions as chances to practice coming back. Nerves. Before a speech or game, don't say I'm nervous. Say I'm excited. These small mindset shifts aren't magic, but they help. You can also try a motivation ritual. Pair your habit with something fun. Over time, the fun thing becomes a signal to start. Example, if you always play the same song before something fun, like exercise, that song becomes a trigger. Later, just playing the song puts you in the mood. Writer Ed Lattimore had a cool one. He trained his brain to focus just by putting on headphones, even without music. Why? Because he used to write with music. And now the headphones alone signal it's time to work. Athletes do this too. I had a baseball warm-up routine that helped me feel ready. It wasn't just physical, it was mental. It told my brain, time to compete. You can build this into anything. Want to feel better? Take 3 deep breaths, smile, then do something you love, like petting your dog. Do that combo over and over. Eventually, just the deep breaths and smile can shift your mood. Feeling stressed? Breathe, smile. Feeling down? Breathe, smile. Once the habit forms, the cue makes your brain want the result, even if the situation is new. The real way to fix bad habits is to change how you see them. It's not always easy, but it works. Change your mindset, and even hard things can start to feel good. Law 2 overview. To build a habit, make it attractive. The more appealing it feels, the more likely it sticks. Habits run on dopamine. It's the anticipation of a reward that drives us to act, not the reward itself. Use temptation bundling. Pair something you need to do with something you want to do to boost motivation. We copy what our culture values. Habits become attractive when they help us fit in and feel accepted. We imitate the clothes, the many, and the powerful. Our behaviors are shaped by family, community, and role models. To build better habits, join the right tribe. Surround yourself with people who already live the way you want to live. To break a bad habit, make it unattractive. Shift your mindset by focusing on the benefits of avoiding it. Habits are driven by predictions and feelings. It's not the action itself, but what you expect it to feel like that drives behavior. Link habits to emotion. Associate bad habits with negative feelings, and use motivation rituals to make hard habits feel rewarding. Law 3. Make it easy. Chapter 5. Go slow, but don't go back. A photography teacher once split his students into 2 groups. One group was told, take as many photos as possible. More photos equal better grade. The other group, take just 1 perfect photo. Your grade depends on how good it is. By the end of the class, the best photos came from the first group, the ones focused on quantity. They practiced more, experimented more, and learned faster. The quality group overthought everything and ended up with average work. This shows a key truth. Doing leads to progress. Planning alone doesn't. There's a saying, the best is the enemy of the good. We wait for the perfect plan, but forget to take action. Planning, researching, and brainstorming, that's motion. Writing the article, going to the gym, or cooking a healthy meal, that's action. Motion feels productive, but it doesn't lead to results. Why do we stay in motion? Because it's safe. It feels like progress without risk. But to build real habits, you need action. Not once, repeatedly. How long does it take to build a habit? Every time you repeat a behavior, your brain rewires a little. Do it enough, and it becomes automatic. Scientists call this long-term potentiation. Your brain builds stronger connections the more you use them. Like, musicians have stronger movement areas in the brain. Mathematicians have more gray matter for numbers. London taxi drivers grow bigger memory centers for navigation. Your brain changes based on what you repeat. Like muscles, it grows with use and shrinks without it. In the 1800s, a writer named George Lewes said, "It's hard to learn something new at first, but with practice, it gets automatic." That's why those photography students improved. They kept doing, not just thinking. So how long does it take to build a habit? That's not the right question. Ask instead, how many repetitions do I need? Whether it takes 21 days or 100 doesn't matter. What matters is how often you do the behavior. You build habits through repetition until you cross the habit line, where it feels natural and automatic. And how do you get there? That's what the third law of behavior change is all about. Make it easy. Let's see the core idea of this law. The law of least effort. A scientist named Jared Diamond once pointed out that the shape of continents changed how people lived. The Americas run north to south. Europe and Asia stretch east to west. This simple difference made a big impact when farming began. Farming spread more easily from east to west because the weather stayed mostly the same. Crops could grow across wide areas. But going north to south meant dealing with different climates, like trying to grow Florida oranges in cold Canada. That's why farming moved faster in Europe and Asia. More food led to more people, more tools, and stronger armies. It didn't happen overnight, but over time, small wins added up. This shows how the law of least effort works. People think success needs willpower, but really, we just choose what's easy. And that's smart. Our brains are built to save energy. We like things that take less work. One push-up is easier than 100. So we're more likely to keep doing it. Hard things take more energy, so we avoid them. Think of habits like checking your phone or watching TV. We do them because they're easy. We don't want the habit, we want the result. Dieting isn't the goal. Feeling fit is. Meditating isn't the goal. Feeling calm is. Writing isn't the goal. Thinking clearly is. If a habit feels hard, we're less likely to stick with it. That's why it's smart to make good habits easy, especially when you're tired or unmotivated. We can still do hard things, but on tough days, it helps if the easy path is also the right one. Make it easy doesn't mean being lazy. It means setting yourself up so the right choice is the simple one. How to do more with less effort. Imagine a garden hose with a bend. You could push water through or just straighten the hose. Same with habits. You can push yourself hard or remove the blocks in your way. One great way to make habits easier? Change your environment. If your gym is on the way to work, you'll probably go, but if it's out of the way, you might skip it. Your space matters. Trying to write in a loud house or eat healthy with junk food around is hard, but you can fix that by setting things up better. That's what Japanese factories did in the 1970s. They called it lean production. They removed small problems, like having to twist too much for a tool, and made their products better and faster. In 1974, American TVs needed 5 times more repairs than Japanese ones. By 1979, American workers took 3 times longer to build a TV. I call this addition by subtraction. Take away small hassles, and things run smoother. It's why a clean room or desk feels so good. Less clutter, more clarity. Popular products work the same way. Food delivery apps skip shopping. Dating apps skip small talk. Voice assistants let you say, "play music," instead of opening an app. Even governments use this idea. In the UK, they made a tiny change to the tax form link. That one tweak raised responses by 4% and brought in millions. Bottom line, remove tiny roadblocks. Make good choices easy. Prime the environment. A man named Oswald Knuckles sets up his space for success. After watching TV, he resets the room. After driving, he clears the trash. While waiting for the shower to warm, he wipes the toilet. He says he's not a hard worker, just proactively lazy. He does small things now, so there's less to do later. Set up a room for its purpose. His space always feels ready. The author's wife keeps greeting cards sorted by event, so when she needs one, she grabs it and sends it. The author, on the other hand, forgets because it's not easy. Want to eat healthy? Prep the tools the night before. Want to draw more? Leave your sketchbook out. Want to work out? Lay out your gym clothes. Want to snack better? Chop veggies in advance. Make the good stuff easy. You can flip this idea too. Make bad habits harder. Watch too much TV? Unplug it. Or take out the remote batteries. Or hide the TV. The author hides his phone in another room until lunch. It helps him stay focused. Out of sight, out of mind. Still tempted? Ask a friend to hide your phone, or delete apps, or move the beer to the back of the fridge. Small steps can break big habits. If you make enough of these changes, your whole space will support the person you want to be. Ask yourself, how can I make doing the right thing as easy as possible? If the easiest path is the right one, good habits will stick. Chapter 6: How to Stop Procrastinating by Using the 2-Minute Rule. Twyla Tharp is a famous dancer and choreographer. She even got a special award in 1992 for being super creative. She says her success comes from doing small daily habits. Every morning, she wakes up at 5:30, puts on her workout clothes, and takes a taxi to the gym. That's her routine. But the most important habit isn't the workout, it's getting in the taxi. Once she's in, the rest is easy. That one small step helps her stick to her plan. That little step, getting in the cab, is a great example of how making a habit easy helps you follow through. Experts say almost half of what we do each day is out of habit, and even small habits can have a big effect on what we do next. Habits are like ramps onto highways. Once you're on, it's easier to keep going than to stop. That's why we sometimes keep watching a boring movie or checking our phones longer than we meant to. Small habits can lead to bigger choices, even when we think we're making decisions. Here's an example from the author's life. Around 5:15 p.m., the evening goes one of 2 ways. If he and his wife put on workout clothes, they go to the gym. If they don't, they sit on the couch, order food, and watch TV. The key habit is changing clothes. Every day is full of little choices like that. The author calls them decisive moments. These small choices lead to big results. Decisive moments. Small moments shape what happens next. Like walking into a restaurant, you can only choose from that menu. Where you go decides what you can eat. Habits work the same way. That's why the first choices in your day are so important. Just a few small habits can change how your whole day goes. Habits aren't the end goal, they're the starting point. They're not the workout, they're the cab ride. The 2-minute rule. Even when we want to start small, we often try to do too much at once. The 2-minute rule can help. It says, when you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes. Any habit can be turned into a quick 2-minute version. Read before bed. Read 1 page. Do yoga. Roll out the mat. Study. Open your notebook. Fold laundry. Fold 1 pair of socks. Go for a run, tie your shoes. The goal is to make starting so easy that you'll just do it. Once you start, it's easier to keep going. Start with a gateway habit, a small step that leads to something bigger. Break down your goal like this. Maybe you want to run a marathon someday, but your first habit is just putting on your shoes. It might feel silly to do something so small, but the real goal is to become the kind of person who shows up. Don't try to be perfect, just keep showing up. You need to be consistent before you can be great. Those 2 minutes can grow into more. You'll build stronger habits and better skills. Doing the same small start each time helps your brain get ready to focus. You might not be able to make the whole habit automatic, but you can make starting feel automatic. If you think the 2-minute rule is just a trick, try this. Actually stop after 2 minutes. Go for a run, then stop. Meditate, then stop. Study, then stop. Do just 2 minutes. One person used this rule to lose over 100 pounds. He went to the gym every day, but only stayed for 5 minutes. Eventually, he stayed longer. Over time, he lost the weight. This also works for writing. Many people stop journaling because it feels like too much work. The trick is to stop before it feels hard. Even the writer Ernest Hemingway said to stop while it's still easy. Small habits also help you become the person you want to be. If you go to the gym 5 days in a row, even for 5 minutes, you become someone who doesn't skip workouts. 1 push-up is better than none. 1 minute on the guitar is better than 0. 1 page is better than nothing. Once your habit feels strong, you can grow it. Start small, then add a little more. Always focus on making the first 2 minutes simple. You can turn any goal into a 2-minute habit. Be healthy. Exercise. Change into workout clothes. Have a happy marriage. Be a caring partner. Plan meals for next week. If a habit feels hard to stick with, try the 2-minute rule. It's the easiest way to begin. It's a simple way to make starting easy. Now, we understood how to build habits using this law by making actions easy. Let's understand the reversal of it to break bad habits. Reversal, make it hard. How to make good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible. Back in the summer of 1830, a writer named Victor Hugo had a big problem. A year earlier, he'd promised to finish a book, but instead, he kept putting it off. He spent time meeting people, working on other projects, anything but writing. Finally, his publisher gave him a strict deadline: finish the book in 6 months. To focus, Hugo did something unusual. He gave all his clothes to his assistant and locked them away. Now he had nothing to wear except a shawl, so he stayed home and wrote. It worked. He finished The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2 weeks early. This shows that sometimes success comes not from making good habits easier, but by making bad habits harder. That's where commitment devices come in. A commitment device is something you set up ahead of time to help control your actions later. Hugo's locked up clothes were his device. They made it harder to leave the house and easier to write. There are lots of ways to use this trick. Want to eat less? Buy snacks in small packs. Want to avoid gambling? Block yourself from betting websites. Some athletes leave their wallets at home to avoid fast food. Habits expert Nir Eyal had a clever idea. He plugged his internet router into a timer that shut it off at 10 p.m. that told him it was time to sleep. Commitment devices help you act on your good intentions before temptation hits. For example, if I'm trying to eat less at a restaurant, I ask the waiter to pack half my food before I even see it. The idea is to make it harder to break a good habit than to stick to it. If you're excited to get fit, book and pay for a yoga class ahead of time. If you want to start a business, schedule a meeting with someone you admire. Canceling these things would take more effort than just doing them. Commitment devices make the right choice easier by making the wrong one harder. But we can go even further. We can make good habits automatic and bad habits nearly impossible. How to automate a habit and never think about it again. John Henry Patterson grew up in Ohio in the 1800s. After college, he opened a small shop. Business seemed good, but he wasn't making money. Then he discovered why. His employees were stealing from him. At that time, theft was common. There were no cameras or computers. Receipts were easy to change or throw away. Unless you watched every sale, you couldn't stop stealing. Then Patterson saw an ad for a new invention, the first cash register. It locked up the money and the receipt with every sale. He bought two. The theft stopped right away. Within 6 months, his store was making good money. He was so impressed, he bought the rights to the cash register and started the National Cash Register Company. Within 10 years, it became one of the top companies of the time. This story shows the power of making bad habits hard. Instead of trying to change people, the cash register made stealing difficult. It added friction to the bad behavior. Some actions, like installing a cash register, only take effort once but help you again and again. These are called one-time decisions. They make good habits easier and bad habits harder without much ongoing effort. Technology helps too. It makes tasks easier, especially ones you don't do often enough to become habits. Here are a few examples. Medicine, set prescriptions to auto-refill. Money, use direct deposit to save automatically. Focus, use website blockers to stay on task. Using tools like these saves your energy for more important work. Philosopher Alfred North Whitehead once said that progress happens when we can do more without thinking about it. Automation helps make that possible. But automation can also lock in bad habits. Netflix autoplays the next episode. Food apps make junk food easy to order. Social media is always one tap away. When things are too easy, bad habits sneak in. I know this all too well. I used to check my phone whenever I had a free moment. It felt like a quick break, but those minutes added up. Most people spend over 2 hours a day on social media. That's over 600 hours a year. While writing this book, I tried a new system. Every Monday, my assistant changed all my social media passwords and logged me out. I didn't get the new passwords until Friday. That gave me the weekend to scroll, but kept the weekdays focused. If you don't have an assistant, ask a friend to help. Surprisingly, I adjusted fast. In just a week, I realized I didn't need social media every day. It was just too easy to access. Once I blocked the habit, I had the focus to do deep work. Used the right way, automation makes good habits automatic and bad ones nearly impossible. You don't need willpower. You've already set yourself up for success. With commitment devices, one-time choices, and smart tools, you can build a life where good habits happen on their own, and bad ones don't even get a chance. Law 3 Overview. To build a habit, make it easy. Repetition matters more than motivation or perfect planning. Action beats motion. Stop preparing and start doing. Habits form through frequency, not time. It's how often you do it, not how long you've been doing it. We choose the path of least effort. The easier a behavior is, the more likely we are to do it. Make good habits easy by reducing friction. Shape your environment so the right choice requires less effort. Make bad habits harder by adding friction. Increase barriers to make unwanted behaviors less tempting. Small habits shape big outcomes. Quick actions at key moments can set the tone for your entire day. Use the 2-minute rule. Start new habits with versions that take less than 2 minutes to build consistency. Build the routine first, then improve it. Create the habit before worrying about making it perfect. To break a bad habit, make it difficult. Increase friction so the behavior becomes harder to do. Use commitment devices. Make decisions now that lock in better behavior later. Automate good habits. One-time choices and smart tech can consistently steer you in the right direction. Law 4. Make it satisfying. Chapter 7. The Golden Rule of Changing Behavior. In the late 1990s, Stephen Luby moved from the US to Karachi, Pakistan, a crowded city where many people lived in slums without clean water, trash pickup, or electricity. Children often got sick because the water was dirty and illnesses spread fast. Luby believed that better hand washing could reduce disease. But even though people knew they should wash their hands, they didn't do it well or often. So, Luby's team worked with Procter & Gamble to give them a soap called Safeguard. It smelled good, made suds, and felt nice. People enjoyed using it and began washing their hands more often. The results were dramatic. Diarrhea cases dropped by 52%, pneumonia by 48%, and skin infections by 35%. Even years later, people kept up the habit. Why? Because the soap felt good to use. This shows the 4th law of behavior change. Make it satisfying. We repeat behaviors that feel rewarding. Even small pleasures, like bubbly soap or a minty taste, make habits stick. Chewing gum and toothpaste became popular the same way. When companies added flavor and freshness, people liked them more. That enjoyment made the habits easier to keep. On the flip side, we avoid things that feel bad. One woman, for instance, acted boring to avoid an arrogant relative. He eventually stopped visiting. This all supports the rule. What is rewarded gets repeated. What is punished gets avoided. The first 3 laws, make it obvious, attractive, and easy, help you start a habit. The 4th, make it satisfying, helps you repeat it. But the satisfaction needs to come immediately. The mismatch between immediate and delayed rewards. Animals like giraffes or lions live in an immediate return environment. They make quick choices and see quick results: what to eat, where to sleep, how to stay safe. Humans used to live that way too. But modern life is different. Now, we work today for rewards that come much later, like saving money for retirement or exercising for long-term health. This is called a delayed return environment. Our brains weren't built for that. Even though the world changed quickly, our thinking is still wired for quick rewards. Experts call this time inconsistency. Our brain values now more than later. That's why bad habits are tempting. They feel good now, even if they hurt later. And good habits are hard. They feel hard now, but pay off later. When you set goals like getting fit or writing a book, you're planning for your future self. But when it's time to act, it's your present self who wants comfort. That's why people often choose TV over workouts or snacks over writing. To succeed, you have to delay short-term pleasure for long-term rewards. But here's the problem. Most people know that and still choose the quick reward. So, how do you work with your brain, not against it? By adding a small, instant reward to good habits and a small cost to bad ones. How to turn instant gratification to your advantage. The best way to make a habit stick is to feel like you did something right, even if the results are small. A quick, good feeling helps your brain say, "Let's do that again." In a perfect world, good habits would feel satisfying right away. But often, the payoff takes time. You might work out for weeks before seeing changes. So, early on, you need a reason to keep going. That's where small rewards help. We tend to remember how something ends. So, ending a habit with something pleasant, like a reward, makes us want to repeat it. This is called reinforcement. You already learned about habit stacking, which tells you when to start a habit. Reinforcement helps you feel good when you finish. Reinforcement is especially helpful for habits where you're trying, not to do something like spending money or drinking. These actions don't create much of a moment, so you can create one. Open a fun-named savings account, like Vacation Fund. Every time you skip a purchase, move that money into the account. Watching your savings grow feels good and supports your goal. One couple did this. Instead of eating out, they cooked at home and put $50 into their trip to Europe fund each time. By year's end, they had enough for the trip. Just make sure your reward supports your goal. If you're trying to get healthy, don't reward yourself with junk food. Instead, reward with a walk, a massage, or something relaxing. Eventually, the habit itself becomes rewarding. You'll feel proud, more energized, less stressed. At that point, you won't need external rewards. The habit becomes part of who you are. But early on, small rewards help you stay on track. If you want a habit to last, it has to be fun. Even tiny joys, good smells, tasty flavors, watching progress can make a habit easier to repeat. Now, let's see the secret to stick with habits. How to stick with good habits every day. Back in 1993, a young stockbroker named Trent Dursmid got a job at a small-town bank in Canada. No one expected much, but he quickly stood out thanks to one simple habit. Each morning, Trent placed 2 jars on his desk. One held 120 paper clips. After each sales call, he moved one to the empty jar. He kept at it until all were moved. It kept him focused and consistent. In just 18 months, Trent brought in $5 million for his firm. By age 24, he earned a high salary and moved on to a better role. This is now called the paperclip strategy. Others have used similar methods. One woman moved a hairpin after writing a page. A man moved a marble after doing push-ups. These tricks work because they show your progress. It feels good to see you're getting things done. Whether it's a journal, checklist, or habit tracker, it keeps you going by offering a little reward. How to keep your habits on track. A habit tracker helps you see if you're sticking to your habit. The simplest version? Use a calendar. Put an X on each day you follow through. If you meditate on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, mark those days. Over time, you'll see how long you've kept your streak. Lots of people use habit tracking. One famous example is Benjamin Franklin. At 20, he carried a notebook to track 13 personal goals, like not wasting time or avoiding silly talk. He reviewed them every night. Comedian Jerry Seinfeld also used tracking. His rule, don't break the chain. He wrote jokes daily, whether good or bad. The goal was to keep the streak alive. Don't break the chain is powerful. Daily calls build a business. Daily workouts build fitness. Daily writing builds a body of work. Habit tracking supports this by making habits visible, fun, and rewarding. Let's break down why it works. Benefit 1. It's easy to see. Tracking helps you remember and measure what you did. A line of X's or a meal list pushes you to keep going. People who log their progress, like food journals, often see better results. One study found people who logged meals lost twice as much weight. Tracking also keeps you honest. Most people think they're doing better than they are, but if your calendar only shows 2 X's, that's the truth. You can't lie to what's in front of you. Benefit 2, it feels good. Progress feels good. Watching a streak grow motivates you to continue. If you're tired or unmotivated, a habit tracker can nudge you forward. Seeing an empty square can push you to act. Benefit 3, it gives a small reward. Tracking offers a built-in reward. Marking a box or logging your workout feels satisfying. Watching your results stack up, words written, money saved, feels good. And when something feels good, you keep doing it. You focus on action, not just outcome. You're not chasing six-pack abs. You're keeping a streak alive. You become the person who shows up. In short, tracking gives you 1, a reminder, 2, motivation from progress, and 3, satisfaction from completing something. It proves you're turning into the kind of person you want to be. So why don't more people use it? Because it can feel like extra work. You're already doing the habit, now you have to log it too. If dieting is tough, logging meals may feel overwhelming. People often say, I started tracking, but I stopped. I've done it too, logged 1 meal, then quit. But even tracking one habit for a short time can be powerful. How to make tracking easier. 1. Track automatically when you can. You may already be doing this. Your credit card shows how often you eat out. A fitness tracker logs steps and sleep. Your calendar shows travel. Review this info weekly or monthly instead of daily. 2. Track only what matters most. 1 habit tracked daily is better than 10 tracked poorly. 3. Track right after doing the habit. Let the habit itself remind you to record it. This pairs well with habit stacking. Here's the formula. After current habit, I will track my habit. Examples. After a sales call, move 1 paper clip. After a gym set, write it down. After a meal, log what you ate. These tricks make tracking easy. Even if you don't love it, try it for a few weeks. You'll learn a lot about yourself, but eventually, every streak ends. And that's okay. What matters most is how you recover. How to recover quickly when your habits break down. Even the most consistent people miss a day. Life happens, travel, illness, or family demands. When that happens, follow 1 rule: never miss twice. Miss one day, get back on track the next. Skip 1 workout, don't skip the next. Eat poorly at lunch, eat better at dinner. 1 miss is a blip, 2 in a row is the start of a new habit. That's the key difference between success and failure. Everyone slips. The ones who succeed recover fast. Even doing a little is better than doing nothing. A bad workout is still better than none. 10 squats, a short sprint, or a single push-up, it all counts. It's not just about the habit, it's about your identity. Skipping when it's hard says something. So does showing up anyway. Even 5 minutes at the gym tells you, I'm the kind of person who doesn't quit. All or nothing thinking hurts progress, and so does obsessing over the wrong numbers. Knowing when and when not to track a habit. Say you own a restaurant. You want to see if your chef is doing well. You might look at how many people pay for meals each day. But this doesn't tell the full story. People might still pay even if they don't enjoy the food. You might have good marketing, but bad meals. Better signals? How many people finish their plates? Or how many leave a big tip? That tells you how happy they were. Here's the problem. If you track the wrong thing, you might chase the wrong goal. If you only care about sales numbers, you'll push sales, even in harmful ways. If you only look at the scale, You might crash diet. We chase the number, not the purpose. This is called Goodhart's law. When a measure becomes a target, it stops being a good measure. Tracking should guide, not control you. Numbers are one piece of the story, not the whole picture. In a data-obsessed world, it's easy to forget what really matters. Some things, like creativity or confidence, are hard to measure, but still vital. So don't let numbers take over. Marking an X feels good, but it's not everything. Look for signs of progress that don't show up on a chart. If the scale isn't moving, maybe your skin is clearer, maybe you sleep better or feel more energetic. These are non-scale victories, and they matter too. Whatever you track, remember, habit tracking works because it gives you small wins. Those little rewards make habits satisfying, and that's what helps them stick. We have covered how to build better habits using this law by making the reward satisfying. It's time to break the bad habits using the reversal of this law, which is make it unsatisfying. Let's begin. Chapter 8: How an accountability partner can change everything. After flying planes in World War II, Roger Fisher went to Harvard Law School. For over 30 years, he helped people solve fights and disagreements. He even started something called the Harvard Negotiation Project, which helped countries and leaders talk things out, avoid wars, and fix tough problems like hostage situations. In the 1970 and 1980, people were very scared about nuclear war. Fisher had a wild idea to stop it. He noticed that a president could press a button and launch nuclear weapons, but never see the damage it caused. They were far away from the pain. So Fisher said, "Here's my idea. Let's put the launch code in a capsule and have a volunteer carry it inside their body, near their heart. That person stays next to the president all the time, holding a big knife. If the president wants to launch the nukes, he has to kill that person to get the code. He has to look them in the eye and understand what it means to take a life." The military didn't like this idea. They said, "That's too horrible. The president wouldn't be able to do it." Exactly. That was Fisher's point. Make the cost of a bad choice feel real. This book talks a lot about making good habits feel good right away. Fisher's idea is the opposite. Make bad habits feel bad instantly. We repeat actions that feel good. We avoid ones that feel painful. That's how we learn. If a mistake causes pain, we fix it fast. If it doesn't, we ignore it. That's why plumbers work hard to avoid bad reviews. Chefs cook tasty food so customers come back, and surgeons train for years to avoid life-changing mistakes. Pain teaches. If doing something wrong causes pain right away, we're less likely to do it again. Bad habits are hard to quit because they give us something we like. So the trick is to bring the pain closer. The punishment should come right after the habit. We change faster when we feel the result quickly. People pay bills if there's a late fee. Students show up when grades depend on it. A little pain now helps stop bigger pain later. But the punishment has to match the habit. If you want to work out, then being lazy should feel worse than exercising. If you want to get things done, waiting should feel more painful than acting. And punishment only works if it shows up every time and actually stings a bit. In short, the faster, clearer, and closer the cost, the more likely we are to change. One easy way to do this is with something called a habit contract. The habit contract. On December 1st, 1984, New York made a new law. People had to wear seatbelts. At the time, only 14 out of every 100 Americans wore one. But in just 5 years, over half the states had passed similar laws. By 2016, nearly 9 out of 10 people wore a seatbelt every time they got in a car. This shows how group rules, called social contracts, can change habits. Everyone agrees to follow certain rules, And if you don't, there's a cost. You can use this same idea in your personal life. A habit contract is like a rule you make for yourself. You write down what habit you want to build and what happens if you don't stick to it. Then you pick 1 or 2 people to keep you accountable. They sign the contract with you. A man named Brian Harris from Nashville used a habit contract to lose weight. After his son was born, he wanted to get healthy. So he made a plan with his wife and his trainer. He set a goal to eat better, feel better, and get to 200 pounds with 10% body fat. His plan had 3 simple steps. 1. Start eating a slow-carb diet. 2. Track every single thing he ate. 3. Stick to the diet and workouts after the first few months. He also listed what he needed to do daily. Write down all his meals. Weigh himself every day. And he listed what would happen if he didn't. He had to dress up every workday and Sunday morning. No jeans, no hoodies. If he missed even one food log, he owed his trainer $200 to spend however he liked. Brian, his wife, and his trainer all signed the contract. At first, it felt intense, but Brian said signing it made it real. Every time I skip this, he said, I get lazy fast. After 3 months, Brian hit his goals and made new ones. But the punishments got tougher. If he missed his food target, he owed his trainer $100. If he didn't weigh himself, his wife got $1,500 to spend however she wanted. And if he skipped his sprints, he had to wear dress clothes and a hat from Alabama, the rival of his favorite football team. The plan worked. With clear rules, daily actions, and people checking in, Brian lost the weight. You don't have to go that far though. Just having someone to keep you accountable can help a lot. A comedian named Margaret Cho writes a joke or song every day because a friend does it too. They keep each other on track. When you know someone is watching, it's easier to stay consistent. You don't want to look lazy. You don't want to disappoint them. It's no longer just about you. Some people even automate it. Thomas Frank from Boulder, Colorado, wakes up at 5:55 a.m. If he doesn't, a tweet goes out that says, "It's 6:10 and I'm not up because I'm lazy." Reply to this for 5 via PayPal limit 5. We all want to look good to others. That's why we shower, dress up, brush our teeth, and post our wins online. We care what others think, and that's why accountability works so well. Whether it's a habit contract or just a friend who checks in, knowing someone is watching can push you to keep showing up. Final law overview. First, to make a habit stick, make it satisfying. We repeat behaviors that feel good right away. Second, the brain craves instant rewards. Immediate success, even small, helps lock in the habit. 3. The first 3 laws help you start. The 4th helps you keep going. Satisfaction drives repetition. 4. Progress feels good. Visual tools like habit trackers make habits more satisfying and reinforce consistency. 5. Don't break the chain. Aim to keep your streak going, and if you slip, never miss twice. 6. Measure what matters. Tracking helps, but focus on meaningful progress, not just numbers. 7. To stop a bad habit, make it unsatisfying. We avoid behaviors that lead to pain or discomfort. 8. Use social pressure as a tool. Accountability partners add real consequences to skipping good habits. 9. Habit contracts raise the stakes. Making your promises public increases the cost of failure and boosts follow through. You now hold the tools to lead your habits toward lasting success. What comes next is in your hands. Consistent action. Use what you've learned, take the first step, and let your new life begin. Thank you for listening.